Okay, for our lesson today, 10-1, we're going to be working with one-step equations dealing with just integers. As we look through our steps, step 1 says to simplify both sides of the equation. Step 2 says to get rid of any addition or subtraction to the side of the variable. Step 3 says to get rid of multiplication and division to the side of the variable. So as we look here, we can't really or don't need to do step 1. There is no simplifying on this side or on this side. We do want to focus on the side with the variable. Okay, so we'll go to step 2, get rid of addition and subtraction to the side of the variable. So I can see right here I have adding a negative 20. So in order to get rid of the negative 20, I'll need to go ahead and add 20 to both sides of my equation, okay? Because again, we want to get rid of the negative. So when we do that, we got to bring k down. We bring our equal sign down, so I get k is equal to, now negative 20 plus 20 ends up being 0. Okay, and then if I owe 28 and I have 20, that means that I owe 8. Now it's important here that we do a step, do the last step, which is called checking your answer. So we want to check that negative 28 is equal to negative 20 plus negative 8. So when we have negative 20, we owe $20, we owe $8, so therefore we do owe $28, so it works. So we can check it, and then at that point we can go ahead and circle our answer. Okay? Alright, moving on to the next example. Now remember, step 1 says simplify both sides of the equation. Well, right here we have an uh-oh situation, so we're going to need to change that to addition. So really my problem turns into x plus 7 is equal to negative 13. Okay, and then now we need to focus on the side with the variable, so it says x plus 7, so we need to subtract 7 on both sides of the equation in order to get rid of the positive. Bring your x down, bring your equal sign down, okay. Positive 7 and negative 7 equals 0. Okay, and here it says we owe 13 and we owe 7, so together we owe 20. Okay, then just check it. Okay, it says we owe 20 and uh-oh 7, which says we owe 13. So remember, this changes to addition, so if we owe 20 and we have 7, that means we're going to owe negative 13 when we're done. Okay, so that does work. And after you've checked it, okay, then we can go ahead and circle our answer. Okay, the next example. This one says that we want to focus on this side because that's where our variable is. Okay, so we're going to subtract 17 from both sides because we have a positive 17, so in order to get rid of it, we subtract it. So x is equal to, this is going to be 0, and we're going to have negative 19. You owe 2, you owe 17, so you owe 19. So now we check it. Negative 2 is equal to 17 plus negative 19. Okay, so when this says that we owe 19, we have 17, so therefore we owe 2. So we checked it. It works. This is our answer right there. Alright, moving on to our next example. This one is actually a two-step problem. So we snuck a two-step problem in here, even though the rest of them are all one step. So first we'll go ahead and add 12 to both sides. And this is going to be 0. Now this is why it's a two-step, because right in front of the r is actually a negative. We're subtracting, so it's r. Negative r is equal to now here it says we owe 5 and we have 12, so that means we're going to have 7, but this is negative r, so we have to actually divide by negative 1, because we know that when you divide by a negative, the negatives cancel, so r is equal to, now this is positive 7 divided by negative 1. So positive divided by negative is a negative, and then we get 7. Okay, now, again, it's going to be important that you check your answer. So we have negative 12 minus negative 7 is equal to negative 5. Okay, now, notice how I put the negative 7 inside parentheses, because this negative right here is not the same as this negative right here. So it says minus r. Minus r. R happens to also be negative 7, so minus r would be negative 7. So when we check that, this is actually going to turn into a positive, and then negative 12 plus 7 does equal negative 5. So that works, and there is our answer. Okay, now this one is a multiplication equation. So in order to, we're not going to add or subtract here because this is actually multiplication. So we can't get rid of multiplication using addition or subtraction. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we will divide both sides by negative 3. Okay, and then negatives will cancel. The 3's will cancel. And I get m is equal to, now we have a positive divided by a negative. So that would be a negative 9. Now again, check it. So negative 3 times negative 9. A negative divided by a negative, or a negative multiplying by a negative, ends up being positive, and 3 times 9 is 27, so that works. Alright, and we have 2 examples left here. Now, in this problem, we actually have n divided by 16, so the opposite division is multiplication, so we're going to multiply both sides by 16. Now over here, since this looks like a fraction right here, we can actually write this as 16 over 1. Remember, 16 over 1 and 16 are the same thing. That allows our 16 go to 1, 16 goes to 1. Now we have all 1s, so that means I'm going to be left with just n. And then 16 times 2 is 32. Alright, then we can check that, and we say that 2 is equal to 32 divided by 16. Well, that is true, so we checked it, and that's our answer. Alright, last problem for today's lesson. We have negative 7 times v. Alright, opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide by the coefficient. Negative 7 on both sides. Negatives cancel, 7's cancel. I'm left with v. Here I have a positive 91 divided by a negative 7, so that's going to be a negative, and 7 goes into 9 once, with 21 left over, and 7 goes into 21 3 times. Okay, so now we want to check it. Negative 7 times negative 13, that will give us a positive 91. That does work. So, there is our final answer. Alright, so there's your notes for 10-1. Hopefully that helps us review our one-step equations.